Here we go.
All right.
We're good.
All right, guys. Good morning. Welcome to Top Tier Talk for August 3rd. We're into August already. Yeah, this is the time for, we're in a commission-based business, right? And this is what I do now and what I always did when I was in the mortgage industry too. And it's like, it's a fresh start, right? You turn a new page and you have your goals for the month now, your income goals for the month, right? Your activity goals for the month. And we all do our best to achieve those. And by achieving those, you got to advertise, right? And we're going to recap our training from last week that Peter Vlahos did on postcards. And then we're going to show you, we'll expand on that. We'll show you what we did to our postcard marketing page on the training site. But, if you didn't see last week's, I recommend watching it. But Peter's been mailing out 1,000 postcards a week now for 10 years. And he's a top producer. He was a top producer in another program, and now he's a top producer with us. And he does other things, but postcards has been his staple, I guess, for for the whole time he's been doing this. And he's a multiple six-figure earner.
Can't hardly argue with his success. He's been doing it for 10 solid years, and that consistency is the key in anything you do, and he's absolutely been consistent.
Yeah, and even if, we'll talk about prices and stuff, but postcards is a more expensive strategy, certainly more expensive than Craigslist, which is, kind of why we start people off on Craigslist, because it is affordable for everybody to do. And the key with that too is being consistent, right? So, we'll just kind of go through this real quick. These are his slides. But, you mail the postcard, people get it in the mail, right? Like his graphic. A lot of people throw them out, right? You get postcards in the mail probably. I know I do, and I just chuck them most of the time. But not everybody does, right? And some people will call the phone number on the postcard, which is going to have a pre-recorded message.
And what I heard and learned early on, and it's true, because I do it, when you get a postcard in the mail and you don't chunk it in the trash, a lot of times you put it somewhere, maybe on the refrigerator or somewhere, and you see it maybe days or even weeks later sometimes if it gets stuck in your mail pile. So it has the potential of generating leads for you long after they were initially sent out.
Yeah, good point. It's not one of those strategies typically where you're going to mail it out and you're going to have all these sales come in the next week. That's probably not what's going to happen. Yeah, and the people that call your message then are going to get routed to your website, right? And they're going to watch the presentation, hopefully. And, some of them are going to sign up, and that's how you're going to make money. The rate of the response rate that Peter expects, and I learned postcard marketing. I have not been as consistent as him. I've done it a few times over the years, but the response rate he expects is a minimum of 4%. Now, if you know postcards at all, most people, the dentist's offices, at least out here, I get tons of postcards from dentists for.
Oops. You're lost your audio, Steve. What Steve was saying, and he'll hopefully come. There he is.
Until their official start date with our school, you will get
It doesn't. I had one time where I got a 20% response rate, which is insane from postcards. Okay.
But typically 4 to 12% is a good target, right? Right, Steve?
Oh yeah. 4% even is a great response for postcards.
And if and what that means, you send out. Peter's been sending out 1,000 a week, so he expects a minimum of 40 leads off of that on a weekly basis. And all it takes is one of those to convert to a sale. to pay your costs and more with our business.
Right. Yep. Here's a couple of sample headlines. You know, the postcard on the left looks a little funky to me where it's printed. You know, I've always done them in the middle like the one on the right is. But he recommended not putting a website on there. Most postcards do have a website. He said just use a phone number, just use an 800 number, which you would get from 800 link. And I should add that everybody that calls the number is considered a response. Okay, so when we're talking about response rates, we're not talking about opt-ins to your website here. We're also not talking about voicemail messages. We're talking about people that call the phone number, and then you got to call them back. What is this math?
It's to project what you need to do to accomplish your goals. So whatever your monthly income, let's say your monthly income goal is $10,000 a month. Divide that by 2,500, which is, you know, potential average income from a sale. So
you need 4 sales, right?
That's right, and divide that by 4. So to get 1 sale a week is what he's suggesting here.
Right.
Yeah.
That makes sense. All right, we're going to go off of that. And does that make sense to everybody, first of all? I mean, we don't have super high attendance today, but, you know, if you missed last week, does that make sense?
Can you go over that one more time? What were you saying about dividing all that?
Well, it's Peter's guideline for getting to your income objective.
Yeah, he's saying, right, I forgot about this. He's saying 2,500 is, this should say $2,500 is the average commission if you're selling, you know, $2,000 packages or you're selling $3,500 packages. So he just took 2,500 as the average. And if you want to make 10,000 a month, you got to make 4 sales. Of course,
but what was he saying about how much money do you have to spend or invest in order to make the one $2,500 sale?
Right. Well, he wasn't going on that basis. His basis is be consistent with your advertising, and with postcards, he's been doing 1,000 a week. So you need to make a commitment if you're going to do it.
Right.
To do at least a consistent number over the course of a month, and then you can gear you know, sending out 1,000 a week or 500 a week or whatever you do to get to that. You can gear your ongoing business direction by what you experience.
Yeah. I mean, we'll get into pricing, but you know, for the most part, you're looking at $550 to $600 per 1,000 mailed.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds doable. Okay, thanks.
Yeah. And, you know, and you can start off with less. He did. I know I did. When I was doing them, I was doing them 500. I think I was doing 500 a week. And I was doing what he was doing too. I was putting the stamps on and the labels on myself, which I think is what gave me back problems, you know, but
I'm sure.
It was, that's one of the reasons that I stopped doing them, quite frankly, is I hated doing that.
Well, I was just looking at Vistaprint's site. They have a mailing service, and they do it all for you, of course. But their sell point is if you do 250 postcards, it can take you probably about 4 hours on average of your labor to put the stamps and labels on. So, you know, pay them to do it or do it yourself. I would never do it myself again. I've done it before. I never.
Yeah.
It's just tedious.
Yeah. Let's go over to our postcard page. So we got advertising sources here. We click there and we go to postcard mailings. Now, this video is last week's training. So if anybody missed it, you can watch it here. It's also, you know, it was a top tier talk. So it's also here. This is a script that, you know, I don't want to bop around, so this is probably last. There's the sample postcards again. He said he uses GotPrint, which is what's, I'm going to click on this postcard manual in a second, but that's the one that they recommend in that. That might have just been because I don't even know if Vistaprint was around then or not, but Vistaprint and GotPrint, essentially the same, they're different owners, but essentially the same service. They both have a mailing service. Vistaprint's the one I'm more familiar with, and I think Michael is as well.
Yes.
So I did price it out, and I priced this out a couple months ago, so I don't know if this is still 100% accurate, but basically 1,000-piece mailing is going to be about $575. So that's why I said $550 to $600. And I think they do give you price breaks, if I remember correctly, as you mail more. So 500 may not be exactly half of 575.
Well, and that does not include your mailing list. When you look at
No, it does.
Vistaprint,
I think it does. No, I think I included it.
oh, did you? Okay.
I was assuming $100 per 1,000 for mailing, so it may be a little bit more. Yeah, you're not buying your list from them. You're going to buy your list from other places. Let me just click this thing. This is a little old, but it's still what Peter uses, and this is what Peter and I both were in a different program that was run by this guy, Rod Stinson. Peter stayed in his for like 10 years. I didn't stay in mine as long as that, but this guy was a really good marketer and a straight shooter, and he really believed in postcards. And so he wrote this manual, and I recommend going through it. Some of the links in here are geared towards that program that I was in. So, I mean, they're dead links at this point, but he kind of talks about the idea of the glossy, glitzy postcards tend to get thrown out more than cheap, simple, ugly postcards, right? Which is going to catch somebody's attention a little bit more using these really basic fonts. Oh, this is exactly the postcard that I used to use. This wording, exactly. You can change the 10,000 a month to 2,500 a week or something like that. Some people think of income in terms of week as opposed to month. But this is really good, and it's not super long. I want to scroll down to
the list are clear at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, you can go through this. He talks about, again, no fancy graphics, no glossy postcards. Use a pastel yellow, or I used to use a white, the cheapest grade that you can possibly use or find at the postcard site. This is what they look like. And there's a couple of different headlines. Some are maybe a little hokey.
And by the way, Vistaprint for sure, I'm not sure about the other one, but Vistaprint for sure, you can design your postcard, create it right on their site with the yellow colored cardstock, and do it all right there, everything. So,
yeah, it's not hard.
Nope.
Interesting that he says don't put your website there, but a lot of his examples have the website there. But anyway, he does say Vistaprint. He uses Vistaprint. Oh, you know what? Yeah, that's right. He used Vistaprint to order the postcards, and then he used GotPrint for something else. I forget.
Maybe to do the mailing. That may be before.
No, he was
had that.
He was preaching. He was preaching. Put the stamps on yourself. That's why I did that. I did what he told me to do. Now I'm paying for it. All right. Yeah. Well, one of the things Peter did say that is probably true is that you're going to pay to have them print and mail them, but because this is their business, they get better rates from the post office. So your savings in postage, it'll probably be a wash. So it probably makes sense to not do them yourself unless you want to. Yeah, success tips. You know, if you're mailing, I think he said he mails Thursday, Friday, Saturday,
Well, that's if you're doing them manually.
I believe.
If you're doing what he said, and I would agree.
Do it on a Friday, right?
Right. If you're going to use Vistaprint or GutPrint or whoever as a mailing service, then send them out on Friday so that they don't. There's no way they're going to be delivered that first weekend. They should be spread out over the following week.
Right.
From like Monday to Thursday or so.
He did make a good point that it used to be that, you know, people were going to work during the week, but now, you know, who knows? All right. Here's a sample follow-up script. Okay, because when you call leads, you guys probably know this, even when you call, you know, if you call leads from the lead warehouse, or if you call, you know, Craigslist leads, especially if you're using 800 link and not an appointment, not scheduled once, you can get voicemail a lot, right? I know I never answer the phone if I don't know who's calling me. So that's what other people do too, I assume. I'm always shocked when people actually answer their phone. So you're going to leave a lot of messages. So be prepared for that. But also, this is his opening, I guess, if they do answer the phone. Yeah. Okay. Let's keep scrolling. Okay, here's what we wanted. And you can check out GotPrint if you want, or Vistaprint again. The list brokers. The list is really ultimately the key. And you want to be mailing to, people that have been in business opportunities already, ideally. That's our best lead, period. They're just not the easiest to find, right? These are people that have bought into a business opportunity, not even necessarily thousands of dollars, but maybe they bought into an MLM for $100 or $200 or something like that. But they still have actually whipped out their credit card and bought into a business opportunity. So that's who you want to mail to. He recommends this site, nextmark.com. You can check it out. Nextmark's a little more expensive, of course, than the other options that we'll show you, because they have a 5,000 minimum. Okay, so that's what's going to make it more expensive. A list of 1,000 typically is going to run somewhere between $100 and $125, somewhere in that range, right, Michael? Typically.
Yeah, typically.
So that's
one of the things he did recommend, and there are ways to sort the list broker's list to get this, is to buy leads that are 30 to 90 days old.
Fresh, relatively.
Fresh.
Yep.
Not old ones that are worn out, and who knows whether their addresses are even any good or not. But the list, Nextmart in particular, I did some pretty deep checking on them, and some of their top list in particular that are fresh will sell you a list of 5,000 that were generated within the last 90 days, and that's probably going to be your better leads than buying from a service that's super cheap and you don't know what the story is on it. So.
Right. And honestly, buying 5,000, even though you're laying out a chunk of change is, you can't, and trust me from experience, you can't test out postcards by sending out one mailing.
No.
It's just not enough. You got to be consistent with it. Think of like radio ads. You can't just run one radio ad and expect to get a response and know if it works for you or not. You got to, it's something that you got to keep. People have to keep hearing it. Postcards, you got to play the numbers. You got to put the numbers in your favor. He says, okay, you don't want to start with 5,000. That's fine. Go with one of the others. And the first one here is Wolf Enterprises. I've actually bought his list before. We've advertised, Michael and I have advertised with this guy before in USA Today and in home business magazines. So, you know, they're legit. And, you know, the mailing lists are probably not as fresh, I would suspect. But, you know, they are in the advertising business. So they're a great resource for not just the mailing list, but if you want to test out newspaper ads or if you want to test out magazine ads, you know, some of those things are not as expensive as you might think and are good places to get in front of business opportunity people, you know, people that are looking for a business opportunity. Then we have some others. I don't even know, quite frankly, if they're all still in business or not because this manual is old. Let's just see. Opportunity Seeker. Yikes. They haven't updated their website since 1989, but they might still be in business. Fresh mailing lists. Peel and stick labels. I don't know. That website makes me a little nervous.
Yeah.
I would contact them and see if they're still, see if they're really still in business.
Look down at the bottom of their website, see what their date is if there is one.
2015.
Yep. I would probably not buy from them.
Nope. Oh, why did this happen? These guys, I'm not sure these guys are in business anymore because I use these guys. Yeah.
Well, if I'm going to do this, and I am going to do it, I would stick with a Nextmark list or a Wolf list probably.
Yeah. The other ones aren't even in business. Yeah.
And
Nextmark is big. I mean, we were toying with the idea of, and maybe we still will. We'll see. You know, of running like a co-op or something. But you know, even if we did that, you know, you got to be willing to pay for at least $1,000 in a month, right? So you got to at least be able to pay, you know, $600 a month, and we would need some sort of a commitment to start doing something like that because it's, you know, there's work involved in putting together a co-op, and you know, we're not looking to necessarily make money off of it, you know. But you know, this is really kind of easy enough that, you know, if you need help, contact your sponsor or, you know, get a hold of one of us. We know how to do this, even though we haven't done it, you know, consistently over the years. Yeah, so look at Wolf for you know, if you just want to buy 1,000 and test it out, I would use Wolf. You know, you're going to get a list for. Yeah, let's show you their site. What is it with these websites? I know that they're in business still. $95 for 1,000. Okay. Oh. He says all names are between 1 and 45 days old. Yeah, I would take that with a grain of salt, quite frankly. I don't see how that's really possible. But anyway, they're cheap. You know, that's cheap. $95 for 1,000. And then you're going to have your postcards and your mailing done by Vistaprint or GotPrint. And you're in and out for under $600 more than likely. And I think that's a good place to start, unless you want to shell out the money for 5,000, 5,000 leads.
Yep.
Let me just go back here because sometimes you have to look, but let me just click on a little off topic, but magazine and newspaper ads, because we recommend Wolf Enterprises for that. Okay. And again, you can advertise in home business magazines. You can advertise in USA Today. This was our ad.
You just have to plan ahead, because you can't, you know, you have to plan with USA Today, for example. You have to plan at least a couple weeks ahead for your ads to actually appear in USA Today. And the other thing is you need to you need to be plan to do more than one of those too. Just to do one ad is not going to really benefit you as much as doing them over the course of a month or so. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, this is Wolf's site.
And there you.
And you can look at, his pricing. He designs the ad.
You just provide the copy and he designs the ad.
Yeah, you provide the copy, right? Here are deadlines. So this would probably be Home Business Magazine. To give you an idea, August 10th as a deadline is probably for October.
Right.
More than likely.
More than likely.
So yeah, these guys are legit. So I mean, I wouldn't be afraid to buy leads from them. I've done it in the past. So yeah, okay. Just wanted to go over that. Does anybody have any questions? Let me go back here. Cool.
It's definitely worth doing. I'm going to do it.
If you have the budget.
Yep.
Right? If you have the budget, it's worth doing. If you don't, I would stick to Craigslist and solo ads. We went over solo ads a couple weeks ago. That's what I would do if you don't have the budget. If you do have the budget, it's a great thing to test out, and maybe we'll talk a little bit more about the magazines and newspapers. But that's something to explore as well.
So real quick, this is Benny Clark.
Hey, Benny.
Committing to something like this, I definitely want to, be in a surety that I'm sending my my lead from a postcard through the correct channels. So I remember last week, obviously the best route is to give them a call. And then once I start, have a conversation with the individual, to lead them to the webinar, the recorded webinar, and then follow up immediately. Now, the question is, I know sometimes, like he mentioned last week, they don't kind of leave a message. So you would have to call them and just kind of like, let them know that they did, respond to the advertisement and how can I help them with different things in that nature, even though they didn't leave a message. But if they do not respond via call from a voice message that I would leave them, trying to, follow up with them, is it best to eventually either share a website URL on a voice message so I won't waste the lead?
That's what you want to do. You want to, if Steve, kick up that right there, the voicemail script.
Yeah, this is the script that they're going to get when they call. Or this is Peter's.
Right.
Peter's,
this is what you're going to put on your 800 number for your voicemail, and you're going to have your website in there, and if you get a 4% response to your 800 link number, a certain number of them are going to leave you messages for a call back. A certain number of them are going to go directly to your website that they heard on your message. Those are probably your more immediately valuable prospects. They're going to go to your website. They're going to see it. They're going to opt in, the ones that are interested. And therefore, that's part of it. The other part of it, like Peter was saying last week, if you get 4% response on a postcard mailing that call your 800 link number, you're going to have a high percentage of those that you're not going to hear messages from, but are going to go to your website and you don't know, they just went to your website. His suggestion was, especially if you're new, is to call all those people that call your 800 link number. You've got a record of their number. You can call them. You can just touch base with them. You notice they called and listened to your message. Could you, you want to share your website with them so they can take a deeper look if they haven't already? That type of thing.
Yeah, I mean, you're putting your capture page there, so if they actually go to your website and opt in, you're going to know that, obviously.
Right. Absolutely.
And yeah, on the voicemail messages, which you're going to get mostly, I would leave a message. I don't think Peter has a voicemail message script. No. But yeah, I would definitely leave the website. Hey, you responded to my postcard, that said whatever the headline was. You called in, you didn't leave a message. I just wanted to make sure you had the website. Here it is. And give me a call after you review the information or something like that.
Now, since it's postcard direct mail, is it best to lean towards the Craigslist make an appointment capture page process, or directly to the presentation? Since I have their phone number already.
Well, the only place that in this process, the only place that the appointment scheduling button would be on your website. So if they wanted to schedule an appointment, that's up to them.
Okay.
Yep. Otherwise, they're calling 800 link.
Got you.
Yep.
All right.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, I think we are good here. Yeah, so hopefully this was enlightening for some of you. This is something we really haven't talked about, quite frankly. So it was good for us as well. Yeah, so make it a great week. Let's make some money.
Have a great week, folks. Take care.